Okay, so this video is about how to get an A star in A-level maths, and yeah, let's get straight into it. Okay, so the exam format. So this will be for 2026, for example. You're gonna have paper one, paper two, and paper three. So paper one and two are the pure papers, and paper three is stats and mechanics. So you should note that even though paper one and paper two are separate, that doesn't mean that you're only going to get year one content in paper one and year two content in paper two. It's a mix of both. So usually you would do your paper one pure paper, and the topics that come in that you can rule them out in paper two. And with paper three, stats and mechanics, so how this would work is that you just have your stats and mechanics exam. They give you a stats booklet and a mechanics booklet, and you can do whichever you want first, or however you deem fit. There's no specific like times or different exams. They're the same exam. Okay, so the method of practice. So the first step would be to familiarize yourself with each new topic. So say I'm learning trigonometric functions. So people usually do this in schools. They use Dr. Frost slides. So Dr. Frost slides, they don't really have difficult questions. They're just introductory questions. They have theory on there to ensure that you really understand what the topic is about, how to do certain questions, and just learning in general. So I think Dr. Frost is a good like basis to learn the questions and learn the topic. And you can also use the textbook. The textbook also has good like example questions on. It will give you a type of question and it'll run through it with an example, and it's got loads of exercises. But I wouldn't rely too heavy on the exercises. Maybe you can do a certain question here and there from the exercise just to see that you're doing it correctly. But I would rely heavily on the past paper questions. I just don't think there's a point of doing textbook questions when there's so many resources online. So you have the Edexcel IAL pure papers. So these are the international A levels. So I think they come in units. So you'll have M1, M2 for mechanics, S1, S2, and then you'll have like I think P1, P2 for the pure papers. So there's so many online. You should just rely on these for for questions and practice. So because the textbook questions are often misrepresentative, you should probably stick to the IAL pure papers. Now, why am I saying use the IAL and why not the regular pure ones? So you don't have many standard papers. I think there's like maybe 2019 onwards. So that's like maybe 10 or 12 papers in total. So if you only have 12 papers for pure, then you're going to run out of that quite quickly if you start early. So you want to preserve these till the latest because these are the exam boards you're giving. And this video is for Edexcel primarily. But the same principle applies for OCR and AQA. So, yeah, so you should use your IAL pure papers. These are online, you'll find them, and just do questions from that. And don't do the standard papers, I'd say, until at least 3 months before your exams. Then, once you have 3 months left, then you can start the standard papers in time conditions. Now, Maths Maths questions. Lots of people use Maths Maths. They have very difficult questions on there. They have the IYGB papers. You can use those as well. So, yeah. Those ones are quite hard as well, so those would solidify your understanding. So I would use Maths Math as well. Now, avoiding repetitive practice. So this is a thing I see people doing a lot when solving like past papers. If you're doing papers in timed conditions before like and you're near your exam, I would say do the entire paper. You're doing the full paper and you're timing yourself and you know how long it takes you, and don't skip anything. But if you're just doing past papers like the IAL ones, the international ones, for example, you should learn to skip questions. So often, question one, question two, question three, these questions are just going to be very basic, like a basic remainder factor theorem or a basic expanding algebra. Now, there's no need to do these again and again. Some of them you can even check on your calculator. So there's no really a point of writing it all out. It's just a waste of time. You need to prioritize efficiency over just doing it for the sake of it. So I would say skip questions which are easy, but if you are skipping them, make sure you do a question here and there. Make sure you don't completely neglect them, otherwise you'll forget how to do them. Now you should prioritize the topics which you find harder. So if I'm finding trigonometric modeling hard and I'm good with other topics, I should spam as many questions as I can on trigonometric modeling. There's many, if you go on the PMT by question, you can find them old spec, you could find them in past papers, you'll find them on Maths Maths. All these resources will have example trigonometric modeling questions. You can keep doing them and just keep on improving, and yeah, and do them until you're confident with them. Yep. And Maths Maths once again also have good questions. Now, the resources for learning, these are like learning topics. So in school, let's say if you are using Dr. Frost, sometimes some topics are harder to understand. So if, let's say you want to go back and go from scratch and learn from fresh, so then these YouTubers are really good. Zishan Zamured, I think his stats and mechanics videos are really good. Bison Maths, I know he's got all the chapter summaries, and TL Maths is also really good. They all like break down certain questions and topics. They make it easy to understand. So I personally avoided the textbook and did majority of my learning online. So I didn't use the textbook that much at all. I would just learn the topics of the YouTubers. For example, like Bison Maths or whatever, I would learn the topic and then I would do the questions from the international papers and Matters Maths. And Artu Jutru, if you do further maths, he's really good. I don't think he does much maths content, but for further maths, he's really good. And I think TMUA as well. He covers pretty much all the modules. So if you're worrying about, oh, I do FP2 or FM2, he pretty much covers all the videos and past papers and stuff like that. So that's he's pretty good. So one thing, and the last thing I would say is that you should cover the niche topics. So what do I mean by the niche topics? So there are certain topics in the spec which are written, but they don't commonly get examined, so people don't really learn them. So for example, this year, the 2025 papers, they asked a 6 marker on a year 1 vectors question, a very similar question to the GCSE style vector questions you get. Now, if this was GCSE, majority of the people could do it, but a lot of people forgot or got confused. What link is it to A level? So just generally being confused, like I think people lost quite a lot of marks on that 6 marker. And if they had covered it, or if they had just quickly revised it, then they would have got those 6 marks, which is essentially a grade change for many. So it goes to show that doing past papers alone isn't enough. You have to ensure that each spec point is covered. So go online, go on the Edexcel website, and make sure you've covered the spec. And yeah, the large data set, this is like one of the controversial topics of A-level maths. It can be ignored, but covering it a few days before your exam won't hurt. Now, let's say there are a lot of topics and I'm really struggling at the core ones. Let's say if I don't know, if my integration isn't that good, like a week before my exam, I would completely forget the large data set because in the long run it's not going to do anything. So I would make sure all my core topics, the big ones, integration, differentiation, make sure they are solid. If they are really good and you know what you're doing, then cover a large data set. Then you can prioritize it. And the Bison Maths, he's made a large data set review video, pretty much has everything you need. And I think even this year there were like 4 marks on the large data set, and all his videos covered whatever you needed to know. Like I think there was a question on trace, so yeah, it was pretty much good. And yeah, so don't prioritize the large data set if you have other topics uncovered. So that's pretty much like the rundown. You should schedule yourself. So I think what is it? It's September right now. So in September, so you should draw up a schedule, see what papers you're going to do. Make sure you have like a structured plan on how you're going to tackle it. And yeah, all the resources that I've mentioned are very good. And feel free to leave any comments if there's any questions. And thanks.